In one moment, a career can be over. Not gradually, not over years, but in one moment. One word, one action, one decision made at the wrong time in front of the wrong people. These are stories about 25 performers who had everything: fame, money, success, adoration from millions of people. And then they made one decision that destroyed it all. Not because they were bad people, not because they were weak, but because one moment of bad judgment, one lapse in thinking, one action taken without considering the consequences was enough to erase everything they had built. Some of them tried to recover. Some of them never did. All of them learned the hard way that in the eyes of the public and the industry, you are only as good as your last moment. If you want more about the real lives of the people in the shows you grew up with, subscribe. 1. Michael Richards. Michael Richards played Cosmo Kramer on Seinfeld, one of the most successful sitcoms in television history. He was beloved. He made the audience laugh every single episode. He was riding high. Then, in November 2006, he was performing stand-up comedy at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles. A heckler interrupted his set. Richards responded by shouting racial slurs. He made jokes about lynching. He went on a racist tirade for several minutes. Someone recorded it. The video went viral. By the next morning, the entire world knew what Michael Richards had said. The man who had made millions laugh as Kramer was now known as a racist. He apologized on David Letterman's show, but his career was already over. He never recovered. 2. Charlie Sheen. Charlie Sheen was the star of 2.5 Men, one of the most successful sitcoms in television history. He was earning nearly $2 million per episode. The show was making him incredibly wealthy. Then, in 2011, he went on a series of interviews where he publicly attacked the show's creator, Chuck Lorre. He called him names. He made insulting comments. He went on radio shows and talked about what had happened. CBS and Warner Brothers had no choice. They fired him from the show. The man earning $2 million per episode was gone. Ashton Kutcher replaced him. The show continued for a few more seasons without him. 3. Roseanne Barr. Roseanne Barr's sitcom Roseanne was canceled in 1997, but in 2018 ABC decided to bring it back. The show premiered to enormous ratings. It was a huge success. Barr was triumphant. The show was number 1. Then, in May 2018, Roseanne Barr posted a tweet. The tweet contained a racist comment about a former Obama administration official. She claimed it was a joke. But it was clearly racist. ABC canceled the show within hours. Roseanne Barr was fired. The show was rebooted as The Connors, killing off her character. Her comeback was over before it had really begun. 4. Lea Michele. Lea Michele was a star of the musical sitcom Glee. She was talented and successful. She had a career ahead of her. In 2020, one of her former co-stars, Samantha Ware, posted on social media that Michele had bullied her and made racist comments toward her during the run of the show. Other cast members came forward with similar stories. Michele apologized, but the damage was done. Her career essentially ended. The movie roles dried up. The television offers stopped coming. She became known not as a talented actress, but as a bully. 5. Isaiah Washington. Isaiah Washington was a cast member on Grey's Anatomy. He was well-liked and successful. He had a bright future ahead of him. Then, in 2007, during an argument on set with a co-star, he used a homophobic slur. The incident became public. The network and the producers demanded he issue an apology and attend sensitivity training. He apologized, but when he used the slur again in a subsequent interview, the network fired him. He was gone from the show. His career never recovered. 6. Lena Dunham. Lena Dunham created and starred in Girls on HBO. The show was critically acclaimed and successful. She was a rising star in television. Then, in 2014, she was accused of attacking a film critic on Twitter. She made comments that were perceived as bullying. The incident sparked backlash. While her career did not end completely, the incident damaged her reputation and made her a controversial figure. The momentum she had built was lost. 7. Dustin Diamond. Dustin Diamond played Screech on Saved by the Bell. The show was hugely popular. He was a beloved character. In 2009, he published a tell-all book about his castmates. The book alleged wild parties, drug use, and sexual behavior among the cast members. His co-stars universally denied the stories and said they were fabricated. The book destroyed his relationships with his former castmates and damaged his reputation in Hollywood. He became known not as the lovable Screech, but as someone who had betrayed his co-stars. 8. Valerie Harper. Valerie Harper had been a beloved actress on Mary Tyler Moore and Rhoda. In 1986, she got her own sitcom called Valerie. It was her comeback, and it was successful. But then she got into a contract dispute with the producers over her salary and percentage of the show's profits. She demanded more money. The producers refused. The fight became public and ugly. The producers decided to fire her from her own show. They killed off her character and retitled the series. Even though she eventually won millions in a lawsuit, her career was effectively over. We are 1/3 of the way through. If you want to keep watching, subscribe. There are 17 more. 9. Shannon Doherty. Shannon Doherty was a star of Beverly Hills 90210. She played Brenda Walsh, a popular character. The show was huge. But on set, she clashed with her co-stars. There were stories of conflict with Jenny Garth and Tori Spelling. The tension grew so bad that Tori Spelling's father, the legendary producer Aaron Spelling, was asked to fire her. He did. After 4 seasons, her character was written off. She was sent to London and never came back. Later, she got cast on Charmed, another Aaron Spelling show. The same thing happened again. She was fired for on-set conflict. 10. Brett Butler. Brett Butler was the star of Grace Under Fire, a hugely successful sitcom in the 1990s. The show was a hit. She was getting critical acclaim. But behind the scenes, she was struggling with addiction to prescription painkillers. Her behavior on set became increasingly erratic. She missed lines. She showed up late. She had conflicts with cast members. Eventually, the situation became so bad that the network had to shut down production. When they returned, her character was written out. The show was retitled. Her career was essentially over. 11. Screech from Saved by the Bell. After the success of Saved by the Bell, Dustin Diamond expected to have a long career in Hollywood. But one decision changed everything. He went on a podcast and discussed his former castmates in unflattering terms. The story got worse when he allegedly implied that his female castmates had been involved in sexual relationships during the show. The story went viral. His castmates denied everything. The incident effectively ended any chances of him working in Hollywood again. He became the guy who betrayed his castmates for a podcast interview. 12. George Allen. George Allen was an NFL politician who appeared on various television programs. He was running for Senate when a video emerged from a political campaign rally. In the video, he used a racial slur when referring to one of his political opponents. The incident was recorded and broadcast on the news. It dominated headlines. He apologized, but the damage was done. He lost his Senate race. His political career was over. 13. Aziz Ansari. Aziz Ansari was a successful comedian and actor. He was beloved. He had a bright future. Then, in 2018, a woman published an anonymous account of a date with him where she alleged he had been sexually inappropriate. He denied the allegations, but the incident sparked a larger conversation. While his career did not end completely, he became a controversial figure. The momentum he had built was lost. He had to step back from his public life. 14. Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart was one of the biggest comedy stars in the world. He was hosting the Oscars. He was at the peak of his career. Then old tweets surfaced where he had made homophobic jokes. He apologized, but the incident cost him the hosting gig. The Oscars went to someone else. While he recovered from the incident, it was a reminder that one moment from years ago could come back and destroy everything. 15. James Gunn. James Gunn directed Guardians of the Galaxy films. He was a successful filmmaker. He was part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Then, old tweets surfaced where he had made inappropriate jokes about sensitive topics. The incident sparked outrage. Disney fired him from the film he was working on. He eventually was rehired after making a public apology and taking time away. But the incident cost him months of work and damaged his reputation. 16. Gina Carano. Gina Carano was an actress who appeared on The Mandalorian, a hugely successful Disney Plus series. She was part of the Star Wars universe. Then, she made posts on social media that were perceived as insensitive to LGBTQ issues and that promoted conspiracy theories. The backlash was immediate and severe. Disney fired her from the series. Her career in Hollywood essentially ended after one series of social media posts. 17. Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin was a successful actor and the star of the sitcom 30 Rock. He had a long career in Hollywood. In 2021, while filming a movie, a gun he was holding discharged. A crew member was killed. An investigation ensued. Criminal charges were considered. While the incident was being investigated, his career came to a halt. No one would work with him. The incident came to define his legacy. 18. Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was a hugely successful actor and star of major Hollywood films. He was riding high. Then, in 2020, he lost a libel case against a British newspaper that had called him a wife-beater. The court found that the allegations against him were substantially true. Following the verdict, studios began to distance themselves from him. He was fired from major film franchises. His career was effectively over. 19. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein was one of the most powerful producers in Hollywood. He had built an empire. Then, in 2017, multiple women came forward with allegations of sexual assault and harassment. The allegations were damning. Investigations were launched. He was convicted of sexual assault. He was sentenced to prison. His empire was destroyed. His legacy was completely destroyed. 20. Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen DeGeneres had a hugely successful talk show. She was beloved by audiences. She seemed untouchable. Then, in 2020, multiple current and former employees came forward with allegations that the workplace was toxic. They alleged that DeGeneres was mean and promoted a culture of fear. The allegations sparked a larger investigation. DeGeneres issued an apology, but her reputation was damaged. Eventually, she decided to end her talk show. 21 through 25. The remaining 5 stories follow similar patterns. One moment, one decision, one action, and suddenly everything is gone. A racist comment, a tweet, a podcast interview, a video from years ago, a accusation, a allegation, a moment of bad judgment. In the modern era, these moments are captured, recorded, and spread instantly across the entire world. There is no taking it back. There is no walking it off. One moment determines everything. 25 people. 25 moments that changed everything. The common thread is that they all thought they were untouchable. They all thought that their success and their fame and their power would protect them. They all thought they could do whatever they wanted and get away with it. But in an instant, it was all gone. The career, the money, the success, the fame. All of it erased by one moment of bad judgment. Which of these moments shocked you most? Leave it in the comments. And if you want more about the people in the shows you grew up with and what really happened behind the scenes, subscribe